Hello everyone and welcome to Best Side Cycling. This is my 2023 Seattle Portland vlog. This is my second time doing it one day, this epic 200-mile route. This year was a doozy as it was super hot and I was leading a team full of new people doing it for the first time. Join me and see how we all survive together.
Let's just get it over with now.
He just wants it over with.
Yeah.
Alright. And thus began officially our 2023 Seattle to Portland ride. It's amazing how even with the same route, the ride can differ so much year to year, just based off of who you ride with, the weather conditions, and so on. I did make a full vlog last year that a lot of you guys might have watched already. I'll put that in the link in the description, but I'm conscious for this video to include a lot more different elements prior from that video, as well as this time I'm going to really focus in on the experience of these first timers that are joining me. So I really want to take the time to introduce them now, and one of the main characters being Andy, who's been in my videos before. And the way that we met actually was that he was a brand new cyclist, basically telling me that he wanted to do Seattle to Portland one day with his friend being Ken, also here in this video, as well as we have this young gun here, Matthew, as well as Anthony, who has done Seattle to Portland and I've ridden a lot with before. And that's gonna be our crew for this ride. And we started out super early, heading out right about 4:30 a.m. from South Bellevue, so our course is a tiny bit shorter. And for this year, I'm prepared with a new bike, riding my more aerodynamic ethos, but also I did put a ton more work this year in the front as opposed to last year where I basically did nothing and was able to be completely sheltered by the wind. So that's really going to change my side of things for this ride, but nonetheless, we were still making great time as it was still very cool right now. That's going to change very soon, but yeah. And we also had somewhat of a tailwind, so that really helped us out as we kept going along. And for this year's edition, there was definitely a lot more great views. I don't know if it was just like in the previous year I was behind drafting too much, I couldn't notice it, but just before Puyallup there was just great sights of Rainier all around, so really appreciate that. But definitely another year, it's another time to go attack the hill.
Alright, hill again, 2023. Let's do it. You got more? Alright. Yep.
So if you're new to the channel, I'm a climber through and through, and hills are where I like to be. Andy so graciously offered a lead out for me to go up, so basically I just stuck behind him until I saw that he was probably slowing down, and then I went in to put my punch. Definitely, this is not a race at all, but I really just can't contain my excitement. And I'll be honest, I was a bit disappointed to see that the hill was super empty this year, because it is my guilty pleasure to chase other people up hills. It just gives me a sense of motivation and anything, but definitely play it safe always and ride safe. But anyway, as we keep going up here, I do have to fend off an attack by Matthew or so, but I still managed to make it through, as definitely this year was very different. I had to save a lot more energy as I definitely wanted to keep leading the group forward and rolling well.
We made it to the first stop. Let's go. Time to apply sunscreen, Matthew. Oh yeah.
So we made it here on really good time to the second official stop at Spanaway. There is this REI sort of bike service, as well as the typical refreshments that they offer. There's always the sandwiches here to look forward to. I love the turkey ones here. But nonetheless, we could feel that the heat was starting to pour on. Andy and all of us are starting to put on our sunscreen. He's telling me here that he's feeling quite good. The audio sort of didn't work that well here, but yeah, we're all gearing up for what comes next, because the unpleasantries start to come on a little bit. And that would be the JLBM detour. I'm fortunate enough that in my previous 2 times doing this ride, I was able to always go through there, but this year there was an air show, so that we had to go directly on Highway 507. So it's basically the 7-mile stretch where there is a shoulder, but some parts of it has rumble strips, and it is fairly narrow and not great just being passed by cars so much. I will say that the traffic wasn't as heavy as I thought it was, but then again, we were one of the most early groups, and so early in fact that we couldn't even catch the air show because it started I think at like 9 a.m. or something, as well as it is extremely difficult to make safe passes to other groups. So Definitely the easy breezy nature of this ride so far turned into a little bit more heads down. I was just trying to make sure our group was extra safe with all the traffic and just made it through these 10 odd miles to Yelm. Let me know about your experience on this detour. I wonder how you would think of it compared to the infamous Highway 30 later on in the route. But anyway, we're gonna make it over now to Yelm, where I also experienced something a little different this year, and that is normally it is a trail that goes all the way through. But for some reason, maybe because we've been riding so much highway and we saw a lot of other groups, one option you can do, and it's not on the official route, is also ride on the road. There is a shoulder all throughout, but it's basically continuing what you've been doing before. The main advantage for this for one-day riders is that it's definitely a lot faster. The main reason being that the road surface is a lot smoother, as well as there is no sort of road intersections and gaps, because there's a lot of openings on the trail that you, even though there isn't a lot of cross traffic, you definitely need to stop and watch out each time. But there's obvious reasons why this is an official part of the route. It just introduces a lot more risk with cars again, and it's really not necessary, especially for all the 2-day riders. But I'm always down to experience new things, and when it comes to riding with cars, I am probably on the far end in terms of level of tolerance. But anyway, we do end up going back on the trail again because we were tired of the cars eventually, and we make it over to Tenino. And this is when things started to go awry, as Ken had a mechanical. His cleat was super worn out, but here we have Eric from Corporsano, who is a bike fitter, and we sort of asked him for help to see if he can fix up his cleats. But just throughout the ride, there's just a ton of people that are there to support you and help you, and definitely everyone makes use of these resources, and part of what makes STP so special.
Come on, let's go. Happening.
So what happened there was basically our friends just passed on by, and yeah, we couldn't join them because we were stuck fixing some mechanicals. But huge shout out to them. They're like who I like to call the best side cycling racing division. Really just some really fast guys that also support this channel and sport the jerseys. It's a great time always riding with them and trying to my best to catch up. But they made it down with an average about like 21 to 22 miles per hour, and there's no chance I was making that, so we just kept on our own pace as we made it here to Centralia, the 100-mile marker. All right, it's officially, what is it, 10:05, and we made it here to Centralia, so sort of record time, and we're gonna try to go make it to Chehalis to meet our friends. Let's go. So this 6-mile gap between Centralia and Chehalis is probably one of my favorite parts of the ride, just because it's so scenic here. It's sort of hard to completely tell, but especially on a clear day it is like today, it's just so wide open with like just huge meadows around you, sweeping roads, and then going through like a historic downtown. But nonetheless, we make it there, and I think it's a time to check in with Andy. All right, Andy, so how are you feeling now?
Not as good as earlier.
So we're about just over halfway. How does it make you feel?
My bottom's pretty sore. I wish it was over, but Hanak says the fun part's coming, so.
And when I said fun part, I meant the rolling hills before Lexington, so yeah. Fortunately, at that stop, we were able to reunite with some of our friends. And I think that's sort of the nature more day one riders, where you sort of group up at certain points, because it definitely is a lot more efficient to ride as a group. And especially now the heat is really starting to rise and temperatures are really soaring. It's gonna be more the merrier as we really try to work together to get through it. And that's gonna be a huge theme of the rest of this video. Whatever sort of we can do to survive this heat and make it all the way over to Portland. We're here at the Napa Vine detour again, so we're walking our bikes because there's a bunch of gravel around. Probably not great to ride it, but it's now, the heat's turning up. It's my Garmin reads 29 degrees Celsius, but I'm sure it's gonna hold a little hotter than that. And hotter than that it did, as it reached, I think, 40 degrees on my Garmin. And yeah, I think in terms of footage, I don't even have that much of it because my GoPro kept overheating a lot of the time. So, but anyway, we definitely just kept on trucking, making sure to hydrate. The Vader stop here was super crucial as there was some ice water there. And we just sort of limped our way over to get to Lexington, the second last official rest stop. So we made it here to Lexington. It's proper hot and everyone's trying to cool down right now in the shade. but luckily they have this water buffalo here. So yeah, we're gonna try to chill here until we get into the really sunny Highway 30. All right, Andy, it's mile, I don't know, like 145. How do you feel now?
As you can see, I'm sitting down more.
Sitting down more.
Let's just get it over with now.
He just wants it over with.
Yeah.
All right, we've devolved to this.
Get it over with now.
So definitely our group was feeling it, and if you were on this ride, you probably did too. This is giving me very bad memories of my first Seattle to Portland, which was actually doing it 2 days in 2018, and that was also a scorcher. So I feel like I've been through this before, as we're going to go into the one of the most exposed parts of the route, into Highway 30. And yeah, I would say in terms of heat, just don't forget to hydrate and stay cool. Without either of those things, you really put yourself into the deep end in terms of exhaustion. So much more of the bike, more so than just powering through and pedaling, is just being there and just going through the elements. The amount of liquid you need to consume in these type of conditions is just exponentially more. As well as in terms of my own personal experience, I was actually doing overall okay, and I would say that comes from mainly experience, and also I did be super intentional about heat acclimation. So the past few days before this ride, I actually showed up to events and was outside in like long sleeves and long pants. It was super uncomfortable those past few days, but I felt like it really paid off for me here. But that on that issue, that is a very personal thing about how you handle heat. So definitely just do what you need to do to make sure you stay hydrated and cool. And bless those vendors that decide to just set up shop on the side of the road. We've got some cold water, and we are now entering into the thick of things. The Dirty 30, Highway 30, the part of the ride where everybody dislikes. And there is reasons I mentioned in my previous videos about it, but the one moreover about it is that it's super duper exposed. Once you're in the thick of it, you're literally just in the ride here. Look how bright it is all the whole road. The asphalt ends up getting really hot, which then emanates the heat, which gets then you even more hot. And really, I have nothing to say here except that it's not very enjoyable, and you just gotta keep on pedaling, trying to make it to the next official rest stop, as I know that it was gonna be basically heaven on earth compared to this. Alright, so we're at Mount St. Helens now, and it is hot, but luckily this stop has can of Coke for sale and a bunch of fresh fruit that is also very cooling. So I'm gonna take a good rest here and then definitely finish off this ride strong. 165 miles in, Mount St. Helens.
Yeah.
How does it feel?
It feels it's pretty hard. Pretty hard. The heat definitely plays a factor. So if you're doing it and it's hot, just keep that in mind.
That's true.
But yeah.
Would you recommend this to other people?
Yeah, I think you gotta do it at least once. At least once.
At least once. All right. Well, we might be parting ways a little bit here. I need to head on over to Portland, but it's been a great ride so far. So from here, it's 30 miles to the finish line, and every time it feels so long but so short at the same time. Long because this highway does drag on for a while, but then short because it's like the ride is almost finally over. I had, unfortunately, a sort of a time crunch, and I was carpooling with Anthony, so we the veterans have taken out our time to really just crank out the rest of these miles. But don't worry, the other people made it just fine, and you're gonna hear more from them later, as I'm gonna interview them at the end of this video. But we make it to the St. John Bridge, which is the final climb of the ride, and I was so tired at this point. My legs were quite done, but just because it was a climb, I get a little bit more excited. And then as I was riding, these two riders sort of just came up from behind, and that got me even more excited.
Yeah. Let's go. See the... Sorry, I didn't mean to press you guys.
Are you kidding? That's the fun of it.
Yeah. Slow.
Videos?
Yep.
Sick.
Yeah. So it's always a great pleasure to meet all of you out on the road. And really, if you enjoyed this video, please roll that like button and subscribe. It's This channel has seen a lot of momentum in the past year, and it's been really great just seeing the reach that some of these videos have had, the feedback that you've given me. So don't miss out on that chance, and also ring the bell icon to get notified of my future videos. Yeah, so from here we're in Portland, and I'm gonna keep it pretty short here as it's a usual rolling through the city. I put a lot more detail in my previous video, but here we still have a couple segments where let's get over to the finish. We're now on the final stretch on my hometown of Vancouver Avenue. Always enjoy this part as just a calming little ride till we get to the end. This year's edition definitely was a lot hotter, and I did a lot more work, but it's great to see a lot of new people enter into the ride, so that was a lot of fun. On your left. That one legit. Did you see how far I went? So all that tailwind that we were benefiting from turned into some huge gusts here in downtown with the wind tunnels, but nonetheless I managed to keep it upright and we make it to the finish. From here, I was really tired and didn't film much of this park, but let's go check in with Andy to see how the ride went overall. Alright, so it's a day after. We're here with Andy again. He's finished the ride, as you clearly see, one day finisher. So yeah, how was the ride overall?
It was good. It was good. I'm really proud of myself for completing it in the heat and stuff. Mile 150 at that stop, we were like, I was ready to call an Uber, but we persisted and we made it. And then like getting over that bridge was like a really good feeling. But then I was like, oh God, there's like 10 miles left.
That's always the final 10 miles after Portland always gets you. Yeah. So any particular highlights or lowlights of the route?
The biggest highlight was after I got to, like, I texted my wife at like when we were like 20 miles out, and she was like, we're so proud of you. And that I was like, oh, I gotta keep going. Yeah. And then finally finishing it and then like being done, that was a super highlight. And then I guess the third highlight would be after the halfway point, there was like a stretch of like 50 miles where the route was really good. Yeah. Low light definitely was like the Highway 30. Yeah. And then going over that bridge to Highway 30 and then just being on Highway 30 in the baking sun. So that was a low light.
Got it. And then anything that you would say to someone else considering this ride for the future?
Yeah, I mean, definitely consider doing it once, at least once, and then like, but don't go all in like me and do it in one day. Do the 2-day burst.
All right, so you're here. All right, thanks so much, Andy. It was a pleasure riding with you, and best of luck. Hello, everyone. So I made it back home, and yeah, the ending came a bit of a blur as my family was all there and it was super hot, but definitely got the one-day finisher t-shirt as well, as I love the return of the patch. So they must have gotten some feedback and listened to it, so that's great. I love this original format of just having something to hang over your neck. And then yeah, so that is another year of STP. But really looking forward to the next big ride from Cascade, which will be the RSVP. And yeah, you'll see some more Brompton content on this channel because I'm gonna really gear up to do that, and that's gonna be a whole different challenge all in itself. But let me know what you think. Do you relate with any of the experiences that I showed today? How was your STP? Anything you want to let me know, and I'll see you all in the next video.